What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and I do have a new song out recently called Dreamin', so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. All right, guys, let's talk about battles and specifically in wild format. Now, we're going to cover all of the different formats, but this kind of happened organically to me, or at least going down this rabbit hole, because I noticed that I was starting to win just slightly more SPS in wild format, despite not really attaining the higher levels that I used to, right? I haven't kept up with a lot of the wild cards. Sorry, not wild cards, but just like rebellion cards, which obviously can be played in wild. And so I was like, okay, well, I used to hit champion 3 somewhat regularly. Now it's like a stretch. If I get there, it's probably by the end of the season. I'm still earning a decent amount of SPS. It doesn't really matter. All of that stuff is actually automated for me right now. So I wasn't too worried about it. But as I started to notice it, I was like, let me go ahead and check where the battles are at. So we're just going to look at the 30-day here, and you guys should be able to see this. Yep. So let me take out all the battles so you can see this on a little bit better. And I'm going to actually take out survival for a second. So now we're looking at just modern and wild. And, you know, for the longest time, wild format had way more battles than modern. Actually, let's go back and look at like the last 6 months. So if I take out survival and I take out all battles, you can see that modern has caught up. A lot of people had stopped playing wild, and just looking at wild in general, right? It's been on this general downtrend. But I want to go back and focus on the 30 days, because what you're going to see here is a very significant drop off just over the past couple of days, which kind of coincides with the start of the new season. So you can even see here, look at this, the last 3 days, for example, there are more battles being played in modern than in wild these last 3 days. And if I take away modern and just show you survival mode, actually let's take away this too so you can see it in a better scale, you can see that survival mode is kind of on the rise too, right? This peak here was the end of season, right? End of season of the first season of survival mode, but you can already start to tell that the just natural or your average amount of games in this new season is higher than it was for most of last season. Again, take out the little outliers here on the end of season. We're always going to see that there. But we were doing what? 3,000, 2,000, 2,800. Like now we're at, 4,000 on some of these days. On the 21st, we were at 5,000. So there are more battles being played in survival mode, which tells me one thing, right? Obviously we know, and if you were on the town hall yesterday, sorry, not the town hall, but the live stream yesterday, we had talked about Neil McSpadden, right, one of the bigger whales and OGs in the community, essentially taking all of his cards off of land and throwing them into survival mode because the opportunity is there. So I think that's happening en masse as well on the wild format side. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so people will have a fantastic collection that they would probably save for wild, but they're looking at the opportunity in survival mode and saying, well, this awesome collection with top tier cards like Kitty and Jotun and all the summoners from Rebellion, for example, they can win a lot of games, and they don't there's no energy system there or no energy used if they win. And so I'm thinking that a lot of folks are taking their top tier collections, their top tier decks that they would normally use for wild, and just going into survival mode because the earnings there are significantly better, right? So instead of like let's say you have one of every Rebellion summoner, right? Tofu, Lorcus, all that. If you were to play it the way that we were thinking last month, you were not, and you only had one card or one copy of them, you wouldn't want to risk them in survival mode because the risk is too high, and then you don't get to use them in wild format. But if the reward is greater, and I think we've seen that, and you're starting to see other folks out there where it's just like, hey, you know what? I mean, wild is cool, but I can also just kind of bot my account in wild with all of the soulbound cards that I have or all the random extra Chaos Legion cards that I have, and it'll probably still do decent. Let me take my Rebellion, my Untamed, all of this other stuff into survival mode and see how that goes. Again, this is just a theory, but and I'm just trying to align it to the data, but it kind of makes sense when you hear a lot of the sentiment around survival mode, and you still see people making like 60 plus SPS, right? Somebody just beat me in survival mode and made like 60 SPS, and I'm sure it's even higher than that at the top. So I just wanted to share this data with you because I think it's an interesting insight. And while I have done some survival mode battles, I haven't really like gone heavily into it because most of my stuff is still Chaos Legion anyway, but I do like playing survival mode. It's fun, and obviously at the end of the season, I'm going to try and burn through all of my cards anyway. But let me know your thoughts on this, or if you are even engaging in this. If in terms of like if my theory is correct, and I'm kind of calling out what a lot of people here on this channel might be doing. Very curious to know. I think that explains where things are at. But the final thing I'll say about this is that if that ends up being the case, it kind of creates a little bit of an opportunity in wild format where someone like myself is now earning 25-ish% more SPS than I used to, which is not a lot, right? I went from, or maybe even 50% more SPS, right? But it's like I'm going from 4 SPS per win to 6 SPS per win. It's not like anything major, but for the people higher up in wild that are in champion and have a ton of SPS staked, maybe there's an opportunity there. Who knows? Maybe I shouldn't be renting out as much SPS so that I can maximize my earnings and my multiplier. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That is all I have for you guys in this video. I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.